Hello. In this video, I'm going to share with you about some tips and tricks on how to write in an academic institute. Learning how to write academically is something that you take step by step. And don't be overwhelmed by it. And what do you write? I guess the first question I want you to ask is, what do you write in your academic institution? Right, a lot of different genres. Now, a genre is a different type, a different style. Okay, so you might say that tweeting is a genre, an essay is a genre. Writing an email is a different type of genre. So when I say genre, it simply means a different type of writing. Let me share this with you, that writing in English is a very important skill. Because it will be required in all of your classes, whether they are science or math or English. Writing is required in every class. Also, it's required in the workforce. Companies are looking for people who write well. Now, what types of writing will you have to do? What about short answers, essays, of course, lab reports, different types of analysis, short paragraph responses. So there's a lot of types, genres of writing, and it's not only the academic essay that you have to learn to write. So there's no magic formula I can give you to help you conquer all these different types of writing. But what I can do is give you some little tips and tricks that will help you get started. In, like everything, the more you do it, the more it's going to come to you. Some instructors say, I like to give formulas to my students who are just learning how to write, because they take that formula, they apply it, and then they learn how to expand their writing later on. So I like to do a little bit of both. I do give you some formulas, but then I also ask you to be flexible and creative, because ultimately that's where you want to be. You want to be a flexible and creative writer. You don't want to be someone who's a robot who follows a formula. Let's explore the habits of good writers. The first is to be flexible. You will do lots of different types of writing in college, so be flexible and learn to write different things. You're going to be asked maybe to do a case study. You're not going to write this like you would write an essay. You have to write a case study. And there's many different types of college writing assignments, so you have to learn to adapt your writing style. Second, analyze the genre. And every type of writing is not going to have an introduction, a thesis statement, a body, and a conclusion. So you want to look at different examples of that type of genre that you're asked to write. So for example, if you're asked to write a case study, the first step you're going to do is read different case studies. It's the simple step of first looking, listening, and learning, exploring the genre of writing before you start to write, okay? So if you are going to write an essay, you will try to read 3 or 4 different example essays. And while you're reading those example essays, you look how it's structured, you analyze it, look at the type of language that's used, and then you begin to write your own. Next, you want to consider your audience. When you write, you need to consider who will be reading what you write. Now, remember, do not write for the teacher. It's not the teacher you're writing for. You have to understand the assignment from the instructor. The instructor will usually have you write an essay about, let's say, political parties. Well, you're not going to be seeing your audience as only your teacher. You're going to see your audience as people who are interested in politics in general. Maybe you're going to see your audience as someone who would read that type of magazine or newspaper. You want to ask yourself, what does my audience already know? What do they not know? What will they expect me to write? You need to make sure that your ideas are clear to the reader, not just yourself. Okay. Also, ask questions. Don't try to do this alone. You're going to ask an instructor, a friend, a tutor to help you. Ask your classmates. Develop a writing process or a routine that works for you. Everyone approaches writing differently. You know, writing is very personal, and maybe you all will do a writing task in a different way, and that's okay. You need to be aware of what you personally um, do well and how you flourish when you write. Know what process works best for you. Do you write linearly, meaning starting from the beginning to the end? Or do you like to write in circles? You keep recycling and going back? Um, do you create outlines? Do you create graphics? What's best for you? Experiment and figure out your best way to write. Again, don't procrastinate. Procrastinate means to wait till the last minute. This is never a good idea because you don't write well if you don't give yourself enough time to review your writing. Writing is like art. You want to get into it and then you take a step back. Usually you want to sleep on it, and then the next day you come back and see what you've written. And that leads me into revising. You want to revise several times. All writers, even the best ones, work through multiple drafts. No one sits down and writes a masterpiece in one sitting. If you want to turn in quality work, you need to write it early, take a break, and go back to it and review your writing. You need to check your organization, your clarity, your grammar, everything. So take time. And lastly, proofread. This is the last step, but it's very important. You need to proofread everything before you turn it in. You need to find all the mistakes. One way that I like to proofread is if I start from the end, the last sentence, and I progress into the intro. That means I just read it backwards and I read each sentence out loud. Sometimes if you're an auditory learner, it helps to read and hear what you have written. You're able to spot your errors a lot better. And if you can, get a friend to read it too. So I want to talk a bit about some myths about college writing. First, there's the paint by numbers myth. And again, that means that there's a formula that you need to perform certain steps in order to have the perfect genre of writing. Oftentimes, this is not true. Sometimes we repeat the cycle, and there's various activities in the writing process. Again, it's like a circle. We go back and we repeat the same process. The second myth is that writers only start writing when they have figured everything out. Well, if this was true, we would have nobody who is able to write. Writers figure out how much they want to write as they write. Sometimes you have things figured out and then you start writing and it leads you in a different direction. Oftentimes people do not write the introduction unless they have written the entire essay, and then they go back and they write the introduction. You can always go back and you patch up your rough spots. That means to redo those areas that are not clear. You will never have a perfect first draft. Like I said, nobody writes in one sitting. They always go back and revise. And number 4, don't believe that you just don't write well. The genius fallacy. This means that you have a mindset that's fixed, that you're just not a writer. This is not true. You can learn. With effort and study, you can improve as a writer. Myth number 5, good grammar is good writing. Now, this means that maybe you have lots of problems with grammatical correctness, but writing is more than just grammatical correctness. It's about achieving the desired effect on the audience. And you're a language learner, the grammar will come. Myth number 6, the 5-paragraph essay is academic writing. So we have something called the 5-paragraph essay, and it's formulaic writing, and you should learn how to write the 5-paragraph essay, but it's not the only way to write. It will guide you into maybe your first steps of writing, and then there's other genres and other creative ways to write an essay besides just the 5-paragraph essay format. Now, the last myth is never use I. This almost implies this distrust or of informality, and this is not true. There's going to be some instances that you can use I. All right, I hope you enjoyed these tips. In the future, I'm going to produce a lot more videos about different genres of writing, okay? We will conquer the 5-paragraph essay. We will conquer different types of essays and also short answers, case studies. All these different types of genres will be addressed. Okay, thank you for watching.